Warning, this video contains spoiler alerts.
In this series, we'll be looking at every movie in the Godzilla franchise, from 1954 to 2024, and learn about the many monsters who were introduced. The Godzilla franchise comprises of 33 official Japanese movies, 5 official US adaptations, and 5 other movies for Rodan and Mothra. For those not familiar with the events and characters in the franchise, this series will help you get familiar with them. Now for the 5th movie of the franchise, Ghidorah, the Three-Headed Monster, 1964. It started at dark in a city at 2 in the morning. A group of scientists were observing the stars and were waiting to be contacted by aliens. They thought that the reason they did not come was because of the reporter, Nyoko, who was not a believer in aliens. But the scientists needed some explanation as to why there was a heat wave in January, the middle of winter. Nyoko was not sure of all of this and joked around by asking if the Earth will blow up. But the scientist said that he knew something bad was coming. They then spot something flying down, thinking it was a flying saucer, but it was just a shooting star. But they saw another shooting star and it crash-landed in the hillsides. Later, at a police station, we met Detective Shindo and Chief Detective Okita. Okita assigned Shindo a bodyguard assignment for the Princess of Sergina. She was coming into the country incognito and it was believed that an assassin was after her. She was due to succeed her father, the king, soon, but the country might collapse if she was not there to succeed the throne. Her plane was already in the air, but it seemed that a bomb was also on the plane to ensure that the princess never returned. The princess then saw a bright light in the night sky and heard a voice guiding her to leave. She opened the emergency door and the plane exploded. The next day, some environmentalists went to investigate the site of the meteor landings in the mountains near a dam. They followed the trail to get behind the mountain to the landing site, but their compasses were all pointing north instead of southeast like they should be. They continued on until they saw the meteor in a valley. When they arrived at the meteor, they decided to set up camp, but the magnetic pull of the meteor was dragging their tools towards it. Back at the police station, Shindo told Okita that he was at the airport, but the plane with the princess never came. Okita told him that after an hour of being airborne, the plane blew up. Nyoko was then assigned to get a report on a prophetess in the park. The prophetess warned that the Earth was on the brink of destruction and revealed that she was from Mars. But no one took her seriously. The reporters asked her how the destruction of the Earth will begin. First, they will hear of a tragic accident in the mountains. A helicopter passed over the mountains and noticed steam coming out of the volcano's mouth. The scientist in charge of the area assured everyone that the volcano was dormant and that the prophetess had no basis in fact and was being absurd. Back at the meteor, Professor Mirai and his team begin observing the meteor, but the readings it was giving off were strange and the magnetism was gone. They became wary of the meteor and wanted to leave when they still had a chance. But Mirai wanted them to stay and not pass on this opportunity. They then observed that the meteor was getting bigger. Back in the city, Shindo came home and met his mother and sister, Nyoko. They teased Nyoko about Mirai being a good husband for her. Nyoko showed Shindo the pictures of the meteor Mirai was investigating. Shindo wanted to watch the news, but his mother wanted to watch her favorite show. Nyoko changed the channel after crawling on top of him to reach the TV. The hosts of the show walked on stage and introduced 2 little boys. The boys said that they wanted to see Mothra, but instead the 2 fairies came in her place. They told the boys that Mothra had died, but the other, a male, still was alive to keep peace on the island, even though he was a baby. They started singing so the boys can see him in their minds, and a translator came to translate the song for everyone. They showed the male larvae on screen, swaying to the song and being worshipped by the natives. Shindo then left the living room and went into the kitchen to read the papers. Then he noticed a resemblance between the prophetess and the princess. Shindo told Okita that he knew she was doing this to escape her assassins and took off the bracelet she had to keep on at all times to resist being identified. Shindo volunteered to be her unofficial and only bodyguard. The king then saw the report and also recognized her in the picture. He sent his chief assassin, Malmes, to investigate her and kill her, or else he would be killed instead. Malmes went to Japan and began searching for the princess. Shindo found out that the prophetess really was the princess when he found her bracelet was being sold to a pawn shop by a fisherman. The fisherman said that the princess gave him the bracelet in exchange for his jumper and cap after he saved her from the water. He then said that she disappeared when he brought her to shore. He recognized her from the pictures and was held in the station for a statement. Shindo met Naoko and went to a bar to wait for someone she had to meet. Mirai came to join them. Then a news report about the prophetess came on, where she was telling everyone to get off of the volcano because Rodan was down there. Some were scared and some called her crazy. A man's hat fell into the crater and another man agreed to get it for 200 yen. He ignored the prophetess's warnings and continued going down further to get the hat for the money. As he picked up the hat, the rocks began to move and Rodan was waking up. Everyone fled into the buses they came with and left. Rodan flew out of the crater and destroyed a building while leaving. On a ship, the fairies were saying goodbye to everyone and agreed to help them if they called. They said that Rodan and Godzilla were coming back. The prophetess was also on board the ship and told them that they should not sail today. The captain of the ship did not like this and sent his men to take her off the ship. Mirai and his men were still studying the meteor and noticed it getting bigger again. The magnetism happened again and it looked like the meteor was absorbing the metal, changing its color. Naoko took the prophetess away from the ship and took her to a hotel to spend the night. However, Malmes and his men saw her but she did not seem to recognize them, hinting to him that she was not the princess. Naoko made a phone call to get someone to bring some new clothes for the prophetess. The two fairies were also there. She warned the boat but it was too late for them to change their mind. Rodan and Godzilla both appeared at sea in front of the ship. Godzilla destroyed the ship using his atomic breath. The prophetess changed into another outfit and Naoko told her that she had a way for everyone to hear her from their room. Naoko then got a call from Shindo and told the prophetess to wait for her in the room. Malmes and his men broke into the room while Shindo wanted to know where the princess was. Malmes and his men tried to get the prophetess to admit that she was the princess, but she asked if he was a Martian too. He took out a knife and held it at her neck to get her to talk, while the two fairies watched. Naoko was too concerned about her story to let Shindo get in the way, but Shindo did not want to arrest his own sister for interfering with police matters. Malmes then started to interrogate the prophetess, trying to find out what she did with the bracelet she was supposed to be wearing. She told them that she hated bracelets and gave it to the fisherman, still admitting that she was a Martian. The fairies looked on and turned off the lights. Shindo and Naoko arrive at the room but they were shot at. Naoko went to activate the fire alarm but Malmes and his men escaped through the balcony. The fairies turned the lights back on and the princess was safe. Shindo and Naoko then took the princess away. Meanwhile, the city was being evacuated because of Godzilla's rampage at the harbor. Godzilla went further into the city and Rodan was flying nearby. By the meteor, lightning started to strike and the meteor broke open. Something escaped from it and formed into a three-headed monster, Ghidorah. Shindo and Naoko took the princess to a medical facility to be examined, and all the tests say that she was perfectly normal. The princess told them that Ghidorah came to Mars a long time ago and wiped out the Martian culture completely within a month. The city near the meteor was evacuated and Ghidorah flew over the city. Godzilla and Rodan were heading towards Ghidorah but ended up fighting each other on the way there. A press conference was held to find out the government's plan to stop all three monsters. General Hyoto said that they needed permission to use atomic bombs and were willing to accept any help. Then Mirai and Naoko came on with the twin fairies of Infant Island to offer their help. Malmes and his men recognized them but kept quiet. When Naoko mentioned where the princess was, Malmes and his men went there. The twin fairies suggested a team-up between Godzilla, Mothra, and Rodan to defeat Ghidorah. The conference was then interrupted when Ghidorah attacked, destroying most of Tokyo. The fairies called Mothra to them to help stop Ghidorah. Mothra left Infant Island, but Godzilla and Rodan were still fighting each other. Shindo and Dr. Tsukamoto were with the princess and they used a hypnotic drug on her to find out who she really was. But she told them that she really was a Martian and that a few of them escaped to Earth and became Earthlings. They were her ancestors and only their instinct to know what the future holds remained with them from their degenerated minds. Malmes and his men arrived at the facility to carry out their orders, ignoring the warning to evacuate the area. Tsukamoto decided to use shock treatment on her and told Shindo to turn the dial to 500 volts. Malmes saw what they were doing and decided to let them kill the princess in his place. He raised the voltage from 500 to 3000. Godzilla and Rodan were still fighting, until Rodan threw Godzilla onto the ground and grabbed his back, carrying him in the air. But Rodan dropped Godzilla onto a tension wire tower and the power to the facility was gone before the shock treatment started. When Shindo went to investigate, he found Malmes and his men trying to sneak in. Tsukamoto grabbed the princess to take her to a safe place and Mirai went inside to investigate the noise he was hearing from outside when he and Naoko came back with the fairies. Malmes and his men went to escape and Shindo went after them. He met Naoko, who told him that Mothra was coming, and the others were trying to get the princess into the car. Godzilla and Rodan were still fighting. Godzilla knocked Rodan down with his tail and slammed him into the ground. Godzilla kept hitting Rodan with his tail, but Rodan bit the tip of his tail, refusing to let go. He got his tail free and blasts his atomic breath at him. Mothra then came and saw them fighting. They keep on fighting despite Mothra trying to tell them to stop. Mothra then sprayed them with silk to get their attention and to calm them down. Mothra tried to get them to join forces, but Godzilla and Rodan did not see why they should help humanity. Man always caused trouble for them, so they did not see a reason to help the people they hated. Malmes and his men were trying to escape from Ghidorah and got caught in a landslide. Mothra still tried to get Godzilla and Rodan to help, but they insisted that they rather fight each other. Shindo then said that Godzilla and Rodan were as stupid as human beings. They went closer to see what the three monsters were still talking about. Godzilla and Rodan refused to cooperate with each other. Mothra then decided to fight Ghidorah on his own. Ghidorah kept destroying the city and attacked Mothra, who was defenseless. Godzilla saw that Mothra needed help and went down to join the fight. Rodan remained flying in the air. Godzilla and Ghidorah start fighting, but the princess disappeared. Ghidorah pushed Godzilla back into a bridge, causing it to collapse, and lit the surrounding forest on fire when it attacked with its lightning. The people were trapped. Rodan then attacked from above and drew Ghidorah away from Godzilla. Godzilla extended his tail for Mothra to grab onto and he led him up the mountain. Rodan then slammed into Ghidorah, but was pinned down and slammed into the ground. Godzilla kept pulling Mothra up the mountain while Ghidorah kept attacking Rodan. Godzilla threw a rock at Ghidorah to get his attention and threw more at him. The princess then went to pray but was shotted by Melmes. Shindo went to find her and shot back at Melmes. The princess then jumped off from the edge and Shindo went after her. Melmes kept following them and attacking. The princess then regained her memories and called Melmes a traitor, unaware of what was going on. Godzilla and Ghidorah kept fighting, which caused another landslide that took Melmes with it. The others caught up to them and saved them. Rodan got onto Ghidorah's back, Godzilla went for his front, and Mothra grabbed his tail. Ghidorah kept attacking Godzilla with his lightning and Mothra sprayed part of his wings with silk to prevent him from flying. Mothra got onto Rodan's back while Godzilla tackled Ghidorah. Mothra kept spraying Ghidorah's back to prevent him from flying and Godzilla grabbed onto his twin tails. Godzilla kept pulling Ghidorah back while Mothra tried to create a cocoon around him. The villagers watched as their town was destroyed and another landslide came down from the mountain. Godzilla threw Ghidorah off of the mountain and threw more rocks at him. Ghidorah then flew away. After that, a meeting with the princess was held and she thanked Shindo for the 3 times he saved her. She thanked Nyoko for all she did for her and left Japan. The fairy said goodbye to Godzilla and Rodan as they left with Mothra. So, space monsters were added into the story now. This is where the annoying trend of aliens being the main villain begins. Ghidorah has been in a few Showa-era movies as the main villain to the monsters, though he was under mind control by the invading aliens, being used as a monster for hire. It happens in Invasion of Astro Monster, Destroy All Monsters, and Godzilla vs. Gigan. I know aliens were a popular theory back in the day, but come on. They were overusing him as a villain. But it also made sense because Ghidorah was very popular as a villain back in the Showa era. Now, he only lasts in one movie per era and his origin keeps switching from space monster to some godlike figure. This movie is also when Godzilla was no longer viewed as the antagonist, but the protagonist of the franchise. Ghidorah, the three-headed monster is a movie about a meteor that landed on Earth and brought Ghidorah to terrorize the planet. Ghidorah was infamous for going to other planets and destroying their civilizations like he did to the Martians. Some Martians escaped to Earth, lived there, and used the princess as a way to warn everyone of the coming disaster, perfectly predicting events like Rodan's rise from a volcano and Godzilla's attack on a ship. Both Godzilla and Rodan were against helping Mothra protect the humans, but they changed their mind when they saw Mothra not being able to handle the fight on his own. It was also funny that Shindo said that Godzilla and Rodan were as stupid as humans. This aspect of the story reintroduced us to Rodan and introduced us to King Ghidorah, a space monster who became Godzilla's main rival in the Godzilla franchise. In the next movie, we'll be introduced to the Zillions, the main space villains for the Godzilla franchise, and Planet X. Be sure to like and subscribe for more. Until next time.